Good morning and welcome to today's Friday ramble from a gloriously warm North Dorset. I hope it is just the same down in Swanage. We've had some great weather this week, much better, and rumour has it that there's a heat wave on the way quite soon, so fingers crossed on that. It does make such a difference, doesn't it, when the sun's out? It just makes you feel better. It's been a good week for sport, obviously. You know, those of you that follow the football will have seen England get into the final, which is on Sunday. And there's been some great tennis too, although I have to confess to being a little bit sad that Roger Federer got knocked out. It's always sad when you see a great champion start to decline in talent. But he's been amazing for so many years, and he was very gracious in defeat. But it's been a good week too for the news of relaxing of restrictions, government restrictions, and it appears from what I've read and seen that includes singing as well. I did see a slightly annoying social media feed from Oliver Dowden telling us all how much he loved English choral music, but he hasn't responded to anything, and it just seemed a little bit unfair, rubbing our noses in it, but never mind. Anyway, we're really hopeful that very soon we're all going to be able to get back to singing, and certainly at St Mary's we're planning for the last Sunday of July to have a choral evensong, and so fingers crossed that's going to happen, and then we're going to be working towards our Come and Sings again very shortly. So fingers crossed. That's fingers crossed about 3 times now, isn't it? Summer is the time for festivals, and it's exciting. There's lots of good music coming up, either live music. Sounds good, doesn't it? Or on the TV and radio. The Southern Cathedrals Festival, Salisbury, Winchester, Chichester, I think are only doing it online this year. I can't really discover. But the Three Choirs Festival, which is in Worcester this year, is kicking off next week after next, very shortly, and of course the Proms is starting at the end of the month, and they're back after last year's restricted coverage. They're back to a full programme, and it includes some really exciting organ and choral music. And in fact, on the opening night, first night of the Proms, which I think is the 30th of July, Dan Hyde from King's is going to be playing the Poulenc Organ Concerto, so that's one not to miss. That's a most wonderful piece if you don't know it. And Dan is just the most brilliant organist too, so watch out for that, because I think it'll be live on the TV. Good. So I've got a couple more silly facts that I've looked up this week. A couple of opera stories here which I didn't know. First of all, did you know that Don Giovanni, Mozart's Don Giovanni opera, that he wrote the overture to that the night before the opera's premiere? So rumour has it, so the story goes, Mozart was out drinking with his friends, and somebody said, what about the overture? And he'd either completely forgotten or just not bothered or whatever, but the story goes, rumour goes, that he went home after a night's drinking, wrote it out, and just gave it to the orchestra on the premiere day, and they just played it flawlessly. There was a little interruption there as the bin lorry came down our lane, and I'd forgotten to put the bins out, so I had to quickly charge off and put them out. Nothing like live recording. Where was I? So then, yeah, here's a story about Mendelssohn and another opera, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and apparently a friend of his was taking his score of the overture of Midsummer Night's Dream, bringing it to Mendelssohn from somewhere, or taking it somewhere, and basically he left it in the cab, and it was the only copy. And rather than freaking out about it, Mendelssohn just remembered it all, wrote it out from memory, left it at that. Pretty cool, eh? And tiny story about Bach. Bach used to go to the Café Zimmermann in Leipzig. Nothing odd about that, you'd say, but apparently he used to go there every day when he lived in Leipzig, and he was a coffee freak. Coffee cantata, remember that? And he apparently used to drink 5 or 6 cups of coffee every single day. Can't have been good for him, but he enjoyed it, so there we go. So www.swanageteam.com is the website. address and tell you all that's going on in the parish for this weekend, and online services and live services and other notices that are coming up. So do keep an eye on that. I circulated to everyone the news that BBC Songs of Praise are planning to come down to Swanage at the end of the month on the 29th to record a whole load of hymns. Should be a really nice occasion, and if the heat wave, which is supposed to be materialising, happens around then, it'll be brilliant. But they're aiming to record with brass and just have a great time. But because it's the first one back after such a long time, they really want to make a big splash. Oh, big splash by the sea. Yeah, and really market it. And so we want lots of enthusiastic people who are singing their hearts out to encourage people to watch future programmes as well. So that's the 29th of July down on the seafront. But there'll be more details out as soon as it's all signed off by the town council, which we're just waiting for, or they're just waiting for at the moment. So there we go. So for my recommendation for this week, this is a special piece. This is a piece I've loved for years. And it's not a piece you can do every day, and I doubt it's a piece we can do in St Mary's, but it's a brilliant piece anyway. It's a setting of the Jubilate, Psalm 100, joyful, oh be joyful in the Lord all you lands. And it's by Giovanni Gabrieli, and it's an 8-part motet. Giovanni Gabrieli was... he was really a master. He was a teacher and composer. He was a master of the sort of the late Renaissance, early Baroque period. He was influenced by his uncle, Andrea Gabrieli, who was organist of St Mark's in Venice. And he later went off to Germany, I think, and studied with Lassus. Then he came back to Venice as the organist at St Mark's. And he wrote in this incredible style, and he influenced various other famous composers, particularly Monteverdi, who followed him. And this piece, this Jubilate, is amazing, written in 1597, and it just shows the style of the time, the style that Gabrieli wrote in particularly, with amazing imitative counterpoint. You hear lots of entries going through all the different parts and sort of copying each other, imitating each other. Really clear textural declamation, you know, you hear the words so clearly. And of course lots of antiphonal effects between the upper voices and the lower voices, between one choir and the other choir, etc., etc. So it's an extraordinary piece. Time changes as well, bright, lively, but an amazing piece, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it if you don't know it. And I'm going to point you to 2 different performances of it. First of all, a sort of one which intellectually is sort of a performance practice of the time, so accompanied by instruments, you know, sort of sackbuts, shawms, etc., etc. And that's by the Cambridge Singers with John Rutter, and you've got the music on the screen as well. So that just gives you it, you know, as it would have sounded at the time. But then I'm also going to suggest a performance by Voces 8. Well, we've listened to 1 or 2 other things by that amazing group, Voces 8. They do it unaccompanied, 1-2 apart, and you can just see them on the screen doing it. And the extraordinary thing in this performance is they do it from memory as well. Makes you sick, really. You know, it's just like unbelievable. But there we go, they do that. So both really enjoyable performances, but have a good listen, because it's an amazing piece. It's an amazing piece, and you'll love it, I'm sure. So there we go. Now I'm sitting on a wall outside here. I'm not sitting particularly comfortably, but there we go. So I thought I might as well just do a bit of singing here. I'll just check the postman isn't around, or my neighbour, our one neighbour. No, there's some cows just here as well. They're looking at me rather strangely, but never mind. So let's start off with a couple of sirens. And now let's just do our triads, the ya, 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 ya. 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 Good. And then how about si, fa, si, fa, si. Si, fa, si, fa, si. Do you remember that one? Okay, and then one higher. Si, fa, si, fa, si. Okay, and another one. Si, fa, si, fa, si. And another one. Si, fa, si, fa, si. And another one. Si, fa, si, fa, si. Okay, and one more. Si, fa, si, fa, si. And let's just do a few triads. I'm just keeping an eye out. There are no walkers coming around looking at me strangely. Hey. So we'll do ah, 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 That's the best I can do sitting on a wall. Maybe I should be singing Humpty Dumpty. Hey. Anyway, there we go. There's a little exercise for you for Friday morning. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good weekend. I will see some of you over the weekend. Others of you I've no doubt see before too long. But in the meantime, enjoy the sport, Wimbledon final and the England football. And have a good week and stay safe.